So yesterday I spoke a little bit about calm abiding, and we used the breath as an object, focusing at the nostril or at the whole movement of the breath. And I said there was only two obstacles to have calm abiding. Is following distraction or dullness. The mind withdraws too much from the object. So only two problems. So it should be easy to overcome. Only two problems to solve. And then the tool you use, the first tool you have to develop to try to establish a continuity of not losing the object. So to establish this mindfulness is a memory of not forgetting the object. You start with putting this intention at the beginning. Now I'm going to do this and not something else. You put this intention, like you put the intention, I'm going to wake up at 4 in the morning. So now you put the intention, I'm not going to lose this object for 10 minutes, like the breath, or the nature of the mind, or a deity, or the Buddha, or an emotion, whatever the object might be. So now I want to show you a way of breathing that actually helps. So this comes a little bit from Tantra, where it says when your wind in your subtle body is closer to the central channel, your conceptual mind, your thoughts disappear. So the thoughts are linked to the wind being in the left and right channel. So the more the winds are pervading in your body, the more this allows thought to arise. Now, if you're able to bring the wind into this closer to the central channel, then this gross thought, gross emotion cannot function. So then naturally your mind becomes calmer. You have less distraction. Okay? So for those which can, they imagine their body as hollow. So you have the shape of your body, but you imagine the space inside. And then you imagine, if you like, you can or you cannot. For those which is easy, you do it, and for other, doesn't matter. So imagine there's a channel going from your third eye up to the top of your head, goes down in front of your spine, and goes down, and it goes to the tip of the sex organ for the male and to the clitoris for the female. It goes down in front of your spine. This is channel. So imagine with your mind that it's a channel of light, the size of a straw, like that, made out of light. So you start from your third eye, go up to the top of your head, down, tip, pull, and you go back and forth. Channel. And now, see, most of our energy are outside that channel. It's like we look at that channel from outside. So the more your wind are closer to that channel, the more your mind is inside that channel, the less thought, emotion, and gross mind there is. So you can actually stop all your thought, all your emotion, all your gross mind, simply bringing your mind inside that tube of light. So that's what you do in certain practice, in Tantra. But here, simply, what you do, you inhale, and at your navel, you hold your breath there. You inhale naturally. You don't push, squeeze, you just inhale naturally. And then when you have fully inhaled, you imagine that you squeeze the energy towards that central tube of light at your navel. So you hold your breath a few seconds, then you imagine that you exhale inside that tube of light. So you inhale through both nostrils, you bring the air down, you feel the lower part of your lung, then you hold the breath a few seconds in the navel area. Then when you exhale, you imagine that you exhale inside that tube of light. So if naturally you're able to hold the breath longer, if naturally you inhale, you see at the beginning, you inhale, and exhale is what takes most of your time. But with time, you inhale, holding the breath, and exhaling are the same length. So gradually the duration where you're able to hold the breath, navel becomes longer. So you let that happen. And you will notice in that space while you hold the breath at your navel, your mind becomes more subtle, more refined. Then if you like, you keep your mind down at the navel chakra. So you still breathe, so part maybe 10% or 20% of your mind is aware of the movement of the breath, but you try to bring most of your awareness you remain in, keep it at your navel chakra. No? And then imagine that there's a sphere of light there. That sphere of light, the nature of bliss, light, warmth, very cozy. Try to bring your mind inside there. Or if you do that a while, you will notice your breathing becomes very slow. That the mind wants to stop breathing. Inhale and you hold the breath. The mind wants to stay there. The mind becomes very calm, very settled. There might still be thoughts there, but they are subtle thoughts, like tiny wave at the surface of water. They don't shake your mind anymore. You're aware they are there, but you're like below the surface of the water. You're in the silence of the water. You're aware that at the surface of the water there are these small waves, but they don't distract you down in the water. So almost like your mind has a certain depth. So you plunk into the silence of the mind. There's still subliminal thought at the surface, but they don't make you go away from your object. You're able to stay there in your navel chakra with a huge part of your mind. All right. So with this type of meditation, it's good to stop while you still have a good experience. If you stop before you're tired, before you're exhausted, you have the wish to go back to that meditation because it was pleasant. You stopped at the point before you're tired. So you say, oh, I want to do again. Whereas if you always push to the point where you're tired, Then the leftover of that, oh well, no, you don't want to go back. You don't have enthusiasm to go back to that experience. That's why they say usually when you do calm abiding, start with 7-10 minute session, but you do it many times throughout the day. You don't necessarily need to sit like that. You can, each time you sit down, for example, myself, at some point when I used to work in the flower shop, each time I would sit down in my car, I would start by doing 9-round breathing. So enter the car, instead of turning on the car straight, I was first to patient. Or I would go to the toilet, so the first things I would do on the toilet is 9-round breathing. So each time you sit, the thing is to go it repeatedly throughout the day. It doesn't need to be very long, but repeatedly going back. So they say at the beginning, the yogi does 20 sessions of calm abiding throughout the day, but very short. But this can, the mind goes down, like I said yesterday, at the beginning, just droplets of water flowing down, then slowly it makes a trail, and that trail becomes deeper and deeper. The same thing with the mind, like that, you repeatedly do the same thing and it becomes easier and deeper. So with calm abiding, what's important is not the quantity, it's the quality. You try to get the quality of your concentration. It's not the quantity follows after. When you have the quality, naturally the quantity comes. But what you care for is the quality. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't work, leave it. But by repeatedly doing it, how to say, each one of us has a biorhythm. Certain part of the day is easier than other. So you start knowing yourself which part of the day is better for you to do calm abiding and which not. And like that. So usually I advise, if you have half hour of meditation a day, you do 10 minutes of prayer, 10 minutes of calm abiding, and 10 minutes of analytical meditation. If you have half hour, put like that. So the prayer, the 10 minutes prayer is kind of a short 7 prayer, which is the essence of all the prayer. In this seventh state of mind, you have all the prayers there. And then it will calm abiding, and then a little reflection later on preciousness of human life, like we did before, or Boddhicitta, whatever. Okay, so yesterday we covered the emptiness part. So we have all realized emptiness by now. So we can move on. So in that text, first it presents ultimate bodhicitta, emptiness. No, so this text is for intelligent people. They first present emptiness for people who have a lot merit, and then they present bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta. So the text says, knowing how things conventionally exist, train in great compassion. So here, train in great compassion. So the way Lama Zopa explains, there's two ways. And one way we do is like we train in compassion. We think about the suffering of others in the world, things like that. But he says this won't lead to bodhicitta. And I think many of us make that mistake. We meditate on love, compassion, like that in the world. It won't lead to bodhicitta. So he explains, like, if you're not aware of your own suffering and you don't want to reach liberation for yourself, if you don't have that realization first, how can you want that for others? So first you have to realize very deeply how much problems, When we think about problem, we think about suffering, pain, of old age, sickness, not knowing where we're born. But the main point we have to realize is as long as we are so life is impermanence. You know, you have the gross impermanence, then you have the subtle impermanence. Nothing lasts a moment. Everything changes moment by moment. You know, and everything is under the power, under the energy of karma. And what moves phenomena is karma and mental affliction. You know, what makes this moment turn into the next for us is karma and mental affliction. So we are under the power of these things. You know? So and therefore, and this being under the power of karma and delusion brings all these problems. And so without any choice, you know, there's no freedom there at all. So one has to meditate quite deeply on the pervasive suffering, you know, what it implies being under the control of karma and delusion. And they say if you, by realizing subtle impermanence and how we are under the control of, because of that, what moves us is karma and delusion. You know, there's no way to experience any happiness. You know, even you know what we call suffering of change or happy experience, because being under the control of karma and delusion and being impermanent. So the more happiness you have, the more suffering you experience when you lose your happiness. You know, you're healthy, you know, then you have the suffering of losing your health. You're young, you have the suffering of using your youth. You have people in your life you love very much, you have the suffering of losing them. And at the end, you have the suffering of losing this body. So, because being under the control of impermanence and being, how to say, what the driving force is karma and delusion, there's no freedom. So there's no, so even the gods, you know, even if we end up having a good rebirth as a, you know, as a perfect human rebirth or in the god realms, you know, we're still under the power of karma and delusion. So there's no happiness there. So in samsara, nowhere is there happiness to be found. No? Whereas we want always to fix samsara. We want to make a better samsara, right? But until we have the realization that samsara is unfixable, you know, that there is nowhere in samsara that you can experience permanent happiness, lasting happiness. Until we have that realization, we haven't not entered the path yet. You know, psychologically, we haven't got it yet, what samsara is. You know, we haven't realized it yet, that there's nowhere, you know, I can ever be happy there. So, and if we don't have that insight for oneself, how can we wish it for someone else? You know? So that's what Lama Zopa says, you know, first you have to realize that. And then once you want to become free yourself, you understand how deep the mess in which you are. Only then, and then you have this aspiration to be free. Then you understand the problem other people have. You know, other people don't have just a problem of getting old, sick, and dying, and being on, you know, not knowing where they're born. They have this problem of being stuck in cyclic existence, being under the power of karma and delusion. And to understand that for others, first you have to understand it for yourself. And once you have this aspiration for you to become free, this determination to become free, then you can develop that for other people. Otherwise, our love and compassion for others is just superficial love and compassion. It is not the type of love and compassion that we turn into Boddhicitta. And I think in the West, you know, we give courses, you know, Lama Zopa was saying, you know, in Spain, I think in Madrid, I read the transcript. He said there's a Swiss monk called RENÉ. You know, he teaches about Boddhicitta and emptiness, but he doesn't like to speak about suffering. He said that in a teaching. So people, I think some people went to one of my courses, or maybe Wang Mo spoke with Rinpoche and told him that, you know, René doesn't like to speak about suffering. So then I read the transcript, what? And it's true, because from my perspective, we have enough suffering, you know, we're soaked in it all the time, and why we come to a Dharma center is to remove our suffering, you know, to have a better life. But then he explained that now in France, and when I think about it, what he meant is true, you know, because otherwise our love and compassion is superficial. You know, you just want to remove the gross pain, you know, the suffering and the suffering of change. But as long as you don't grab the all-pervasive suffering in yourself, how can you wish to free the other from that? So you don't hold the key there. But of course, at the beginning, you know, to introduce people, it's, you know, if you go too deep, then people, you know, don't get it. But Rinpoche has a point there. And now I understand what he meant, and I try to correct my way of explaining things a bit, you know? Because because there is a jewel there, and there's something precious there. No, you don't really get it for yourself. How can you wish that for others? So you actually obliged really to go to the stages of the path, you know, not intellectually but experientially, you know. So once you understand the suffering of cyclic existence, especially being under the control of karma and delusion, you know, so how to say, we are not under our own power. What happens to us is not depending on our will, our wishes. What happens to us is under the power or the energy of our karma, our karmic imprint, you know, and our mental affliction or the lack of them. That's what produces, what drives us. So there is a permanent happiness that can be achieved. There is an everlasting happiness. That everlasting happiness is when you're free from being pushed by karma and affliction. Your mind being free from karma and mental affliction, that's what we call liberation. So this is liberation and enlightenment, is being free from karma and delusion. So when you generate love and compassion for others, what you wish them is for them to be free from karma and delusion. Like you aspire yourself to be free from them. You wish that for others. So that state of mind that wants to be free from karma and delusion, that's what we call, you know, how to say, as long as we don't have that realization, we haven't entered the path to liberation yet. You know, the sign of entering the spiritual path to liberation is a mind that understands how being under the control of karma and delusion just brings one lifetime of problem after the other. We are not in control, we are not free, and that only produces more of the same thing. You know, we are under, how to say, we are in the jar of impermanence. one more brings the next, brings the next, brings the next, and all this is pushed by karma and delusion. There's no freedom anywhere to be found there. No? You cannot stop time. So let's say you have a climax of experience of happiness, you have a delicious meal, but you cannot stop at that experience of happiness because things are suddenly impermanent, changing from moment to moment. Right? Everything changes from moment. So you cannot stay at any of your peak experience, and it automatically turns again to pain. So the higher happiness, the bigger the pain when you lose it. And all this is pushed, by karma, our previous imprint, our previous habit, and the projection, the world, the dream that manifests out of that. And then because we see this dream as real, we see real happiness, real problem, then we react, we create karma. And then so we're stuck. There's no freedom to be found. And as it is for us, it is for, all other living beings. We're all stuck. Whether it's Trump or Putin or our boyfriend, our child, our parents, we're all stuck. So unless you see, if you don't want to become free yourself of this karma and delusion, if you don't want to become free, if you think, okay, how to say, I want to be a good guy, I don't harm others, so we have I think most of us have maybe the first level of motivation, and we are like the small capable being, so we try to take care of our karma in a general sense, but even if we want to be more precise, we realize that not even that we're able to do. Not even we try to see that each action becomes virtue. We don't even do that. We don't really believe in karma. But if we would do that much, we would be a small capable being. But we don't really get it how we're under the control of karma and delusion, that there's no happiness to be found there. So you see, a yogi of the second level capable being, he wants to become free of karma and delusion, right? So his meditation, main thing he's concerned is how to become free of karma and delusion. So he tries to see in his mind how his mind is under control of karma and delusion. And this happens because of ego grasping. The karma and delusion only function these things as inherently existent. Karma, because there's a sense of I, an I in your head, and you believe in that I. So once, you see, how to say, we hear the words, but you have really to chew over it. Try to see experientially how it happens in your head. How the sense of I, there appear to be an I there in your head. And so, like I said yesterday, it's not that because it appears. That's not where the problem arises. Even to an Arya being it appears, but he doesn't believe in it. No? Whereas for us, the I appear and we agree, I'm him. And because I'm him, then I create karma. So if we can free ourselves to this identification of the self, we can become free of karma and delusion. So he's the cause. So, and then when one has that experience, then we can start getting genuine love and compassion for others. You know, the type of love and compassion that Lama Zopa Rinpoche speaks about. So then, once one has that, one generates great compassion. So the main practice then is, on the Mahayana path, to generate great compassion. So in this text, it uses the method of exchanging self for other. So the way to training great compassion is, first, what he advises, begin by placing all blames on one's sins, self-centeredness. In this approach, you try to see how being self-centered is the cause of all our problems. Sometimes self-centeredness, I translate it self-centeredness. In certain texts, it's called self-churching, selfishness. So it's all kind of different way. You see, in our perspective, I'm the most important person in the universe. For me, I'm the most important. My happiness is most important. My problems are my biggest concern. I'm the most important. I'm the center of my world. And because of that, whatever happened to me is so important. I want to protect my happiness. I want to get rid of my problem. I'm the most important thing. And because I'm the most important thing, I do whatever is needed for me to be happy. So all the 10 non-virtues arise out of this self-centeredness. If I kill, it's because I'm more important than the other person. If I steal, I'm more important than I'm stealing from. If I cheat, sexual misconduct, I'm more important than I cheat. If I lie, to protect my self-interest. If I use harsh speech, protect me. If I have covetousness, I'm greedy for my self-interest. I use the evasive speech, to protect my self-interest. So all the 10 non-virtuous actions arise out of this self-centeredness. And then not keeping my Patimoksha, Bodhisattva, Tantric vows in self-centeredness. So all the negative karma I create is out of self-centeredness. All the cause of suffering, all the cause of low realm I create is out of self-centeredness. Why I haven't reached liberation, why I haven't reached enlightenment? Because of self-centeredness. So in certain texts they say, all the problems is in the world, all the suffering is in the world. If you want to find the root cause, it's this self-centered attitude. Because I'm self-centered, I get upset, because I'm more important than the other person. Because I'm more important than other, I have attachment to my own well-being. Because I'm more important than other, I'm jealous when they have a good fortune, when they have good condition, when they have mental qualities. Because I'm self-centered, I'm jealous when others have good things. Because I'm self-centered, then I have pride when I focus on my own quality. So you can see that the main mental affliction, all the mental affliction, again, they're rooted in this self-centeredness. And then whatever action we do based on this deluded state of mind, again, bring pain. So we can see what it says, that all the root of our problem can be traced back to this self-centeredness. So then when you have pain, when you lose your job, you don't find this done. So said, the text says, put the blame on the root cause. Put the blame on your self-centeredness. So this is quite difficult to do, you know. So when you have a health issue, why do you have a health issue? Because we created negative karma in the past motivated by self-centeredness. That's the cause of the problem we have now. Right? So you bring, you lose your job, you lose your money, you have poor health, or somebody walks on your foot, down in the street, somebody criticizes you. It says put the blame on its root cause. So it's because we create negative karma based on self-centeredness in the past. So that's the root cause why this karma happened now. Then the meditation here in this text is, then meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Once you have realized that the self-centeredness is the problem, and that cherishing other or caring for other, being centered onto other, is the cause of all happiness. So the opposite of being self-centered is caring for all living beings. Like the Dalai Lama says, if I use that thing for myself, what do I have left to give to others? And this is a Bodhisattva way of thinking. An ordinary way of thinking is that if I give that to others, what do I have left for myself? This is the ordinary way of thinking. So one tries to, to change that attitude of I'm the center of the world, I'm the most important. To change that, thinking about other people are more important. So whatever I do is for other. And if we have that attitude, whatever action we do out of that attitude is positive karma, bringing happiness to oneself. And it makes us become a bodhisattva, enter the bodhisattva path, and lead us to enlightenment. So whether we develop bodhicitta or not depends on whether we can change this attitude of being the most important person, the other people are the most. So you see, if other people are the most important, then naturally you won't engage in attain non-virtue, naturally you engage in attain virtue, naturally you won't follow the mental affliction. So everything becomes positive karma. So we go from happiness to happiness ourselves. And up to the highest happiness of enlightenment. So this actually, in the Lamrim, you meditate on a lot. You see the consequence of self-centeredness and the benefit of being extroverted or centered onto other people's happiness. So, for example, about this, you can see that, then you take example like His Holiness Dalai Lama or Lama Zopa Rinpoche or the Islam. So, whatever they do is for all sentient beings. Instead of doing it for myself, they do it for others. Right? So, they drink tea for others, they go to sleep for others, they go for a walk for others, they cook for others, they go to take a shower for others. Right? So any action can be transformed into being done for others. So it's very interesting. So first you have this training of being aware of that to transform everything into virtue. Then you have the Bodhisattva training of doing all actions for others. Once you realize that all the problems come from being self-centered and all happiness comes from cherishing others, then you try to transform all actions so that they become done for others. Because you realize that's the way, to become happy. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche often brings it back to that, all your health issue, all your depression, all your stress, all this comes because of being self-centered. All the well-being, all the happiness comes from cherishing others. So this is a point I think one has to meditate because it's not obvious. We say yes, yes, we hear the teaching and say yes, yes, but we don't really get it. We are not convinced. I still think, if I enjoy this tea for myself, I'm happy. That brings me happiness. I don't get it that actually it will bring me suffering. I don't get it completely. Intellectually, yes, but not with my gut yet. So I think this, in the Lama Chöpa or in many texts, it comes, to meditate on the fault of self-centeredness and the advantage of caring for other, being other. So this is important because if we are not convinced, our exchange of self for other will be, superficial. We have really to understand it deeply. Then meditate on the kindness of all beings, or sometimes it says meditate on the great kindness of all beings. So then you see, even though you know that caring for other is important, but what's the link between other and yourself? So there you have to meditate how people are not stranger to you. People in the street, people in the train, public transport, they're not stranger to you. They're being your most dear mother, they're being your brother, sister, child, they're being your partner, they're being people which your nurse, your doctor, they're being very closely related to you. And then suddenly it changes. If you look it like that, if I walk down the street and I just see stranger, there's no connection at the heart with them. But if I think each one of them has been my mother 100 times, each of these beings has taken care of me. Suddenly my heart, opens up, and I feel for these people. They become kind of close to me, in certain way. Even superficially, I don't know them, but from my heart, some feeling of, wishing them well. Lama Zopa Rinpoche in France used this example. He says he was at the airport, waiting for his plane, and then there was a Muslim woman, with the cover up, and she had two very naughty child, which were misbehaving, and annoying everybody, around them. And he said at the beginning, you just see a mother with his two child, and he didn't feel any connection. Then he thought, this mother has been 100 times my own mother, And like she take care of these kids, she has taken care of me hundreds of times. And suddenly his attitude completely changed, emotionally. He could relate to that mom and felt so much love and compassion for her. Because she was worried and caring. She did that to me too. So you create this connection at the heart level. So I think this is, if we want to develop bodhicitta, this connection, very important. And I see for myself what meditation is most useful when I'm in a city going around is this feeling of being connected with everybody. They have been my mother, they have been my brother, sister, they have been they have been my most intimate person, the most helpful person. And if you do that, your heart becomes warmer. You have this kind of softness inside. And that softness is very comfortable. Otherwise you just hold inside. You're like a rock, it's like a stone in your heart, or you're just, how to say, you're like a plant that hasn't been given water. You're dry. And then you cultivate this warmth in your heart, this love, and then you feel like all your veins are the juice, the saft, the comes back into the plant. So you're psychic, you become alive again with this love and kindness. And it's so cozy, so pleasant to have this love in you. And it doesn't matter whether people like you or not. It's a personal thing. It's a personal state of mind. And it's very pleasant. You feel happy. You feel like being a decent human being. So it's very interesting what it does to your mind. So, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, people say, so he teaches love and compassion. And then the scientists make tests, how it benefits society, how it benefits the school environment, how it helps in business, if you develop more compassion. But His Holiness says, yes, yes, but that's not the main point. The main point is that if you generate love and compassion, it makes you happy. The first person to benefit is yourself. So you have to realize that it benefits you first. Yes, it benefits others, but the most important person is you. It benefits you. Yourself being imbued with love and compassion, it makes you happy. And then, of course, whatever you do out of that emotion, whatever thought, speech, action you do out of this kind, it's just positive karma. So it just brings happiness as a result. So once we have realized the disadvantage of being self-centered and the advantage of centered other, then the main practice is to meditate on the great. So it says in certain translations, always meditate on the great kindness of others. I like that word. Always means all the time. All the time when you're with others, think about how they've been so kind to me. So you can say it in the worldly way. The house in which we live, due to the kind of somebody building it. The food I enjoy is because people walk in the field and supermarket. The pen, the cup, the paper, everything I use, the clothes I wear. I get sick, doctor, nurses, the whole way of living. Who I am is the result of the kindness of others. The language I speak, the ability to read, the craft I know, the skill I have, is all due to the kindness of others. So to repeatedly always think about kindness of others, and that makes your heart soft. Yes, you could turn it the other way. Yeah, the other people are bored, they are troublemaker, yes, yes, and they cheat me and they take advantage of me, they criticize me, and they don't do their job properly. Yes, you can look it also from that side. the glass is half full and half empty. So if you look at the side of the negativity, what it does to your mind, right? It closes you up. You start being negative. You have negative thoughts. You criticize. A problem, and it makes your mind unhappy, right? So you turn the attitude and you look only on the positive side, and then it makes your mind happy. It makes you create virtue, right? So both are true, right? But one attitude benefits your mind and one harms your mind. So it's simply, we make this decision to focus on the positive. It doesn't mean that people are not always nice to you, and it doesn't matter the way they are. What matters is you and the effect it has on your mind. So I think in this meditation, the main key is always remember the great kindness of all beings. This is the key meditation. No? Because if this one is not done, then Tonglen doesn't work. Tonglen does just become artificial. If you haven't realized the great kindness of all beings, if you don't live in that, how to say, if you don't taste that experience, how people are so kind to you, how they have been intimate, they have been my partner, my hundreds of times, they have been my most beloved child, they have been my parents. I've been born out of their wombs, and they have taken care of me. As a small child, I sucked their breath, and they take care of my caca and my pee pee, and they take care of my body so that I don't kill myself. So each one of them has done that to me. Then, if you think along those lines, your heart becomes soft and warm, and you feel intimate with each living being. And then on that, then naturally Tonglen unfolds. Naturally, you want to alleviate their pain, and you want to give them happiness. But if you don't have this intimate feeling with all beings, Tonglen becomes artificial or superficial. So I remember in my early days in Dharma, in Asia, I would go to Kopan course, and we would meditate on that with Lama Zopa Rinpoche in courses. And I remember coming back to the West. So my main meditation going down the street was that. All beings have been my mother, have been so kind. Would do Tonglen, that walking down the street with all these strangers, and my mind would be so peaceful and happy. It just puts you in a nice space of mind, and like that. And then, the cashier, or the stranger you talk to, you can relate, and everyone is okay. I think it's so precious, and it just makes you so happy, so peaceful. And then what you take away from them, so you take away their pain, you take away their mental affliction, and you take away the lack of realization of karma, lack of belief in future lives, lack of realization of emptiness and bodhicitta. You take away from them. Then what you give to them, you give them good health, good condition, give them the realization, believing in karma and future life, realization of emptiness and realization of citta. When you exhale, you imagine giving that to them. Take away, proceed. And then Lama Tsongkhapa says something very, very precious. He said, you don't start by thinking about all living beings. Now, when you do Tonglen, you don't start with all living beings. You start doing that meditation with the person closest to you in your life. So you do that with your partner, you do that with your child, you do that with your parent. So you make it very intimate, you make it very real. Because often we have most problem we have with is with people. We don't have problem with, with the child down in Africa. The problem we have is with people around us in our life. So that's where you start doing Tonglen with. So you see that person as most precious. You meditate on the great kindness of that person having been your parents many times, giving you so much happiness. Then you do Tonglen on that person. And then you take another person close to your life and gradually you expand. And then you get to all living beings. He says, if you do it like that, then your love and compassion for all living beings becomes genuine. He says, if you start with all living beings, you might end up being in a situation you have love for all living beings, but not for your partner, or not for your child, not for your parent. So, you meditate on love and compassion, and the person makes noise and you get upset. So you have love for all living beings, but not the people close to you in your life. He says, so this is the mistake of not having started by working with the one close to you in life. And then he says, your love and compassion doesn't become genuine. So you have to start with those ones. And then gradually you expand, and then becomes genuine. And it says, Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, that meditation can cure your cancer, can cure all your sickness, can cure all your mental affliction. So often, in the old days, it was called the leper's meditation, because in the old days, there was leprosy in Tibet, and then some teacher taught that to some leper, and then they got cured by doing this meditation. So Lama Zopa gave example. He gave this meditation to some people, some students in Singapore, Malaysia, and they got cured of their cancer just by doing Tonglen. So how to say, like Shantideva says, if the wish to alleviate the pain of the mere headache of a person is virtuous, it's a virtuous thought. Your friend has headache and you wish a person being freeing from his headache or back pain. This is a virtuous thought. Then Shantideva says, if that is virtuous, then how can you measure that? If you wish to take all the pains, not only the headache, the back pain, but you want to take the suffering of continuous rebirth, all these rebirth, you want to take away from that person all the problems of being under control of karma and delusion, endless suffering, all the obstacle to omniscience. So from that person, how can you compare just wanting to take away the headache of that person compared to taking away all the problems of samsara up to enlightenment from that person? And then not only wanting that for one person, but then wanting that for all the infinite beings in the universe. So if you could measure the virtue of that state of mind, completely unimaginable, right? So Shantideva said, there's no greater purification for your mind. There's no greater accumulation of merit than that state of mind. So doing Tonglen with that realization, from that perspective, there's no a greater way to purify your mind. There's no greater way to change your karma. So cancer was the result of a negative karma ripening. Right? So Tonglen can completely change that karma. It completely purifies this non-virtuous karma and creates so much merit that only happiness can result and only healing can happen. So often Lama Zopa Rinpoche, gives as advice to people, if you have cancer, you have this and that problem, do Tonglen. It's the greatest way to change your karma. There's no greater merit, no greater purification. And then the best practice when you go to sleep, while falling asleep, is Tonglen, giving and taking of breath. If you die, the best practice of transference of consciousness, Tonglen. So in the five power, the five power, and the five power, the time of death, the main practice is Tonglen. Because it's such a virtuous state of mind, you automatically have a good rebirth. You don't need to worry. There's nothing can clean your mind more, cannot create more extensive merit than Boddhicitta. It's incredibly powerful. So it makes your mind instantaneously happy, peaceful, great. As soon as you give up your self-centeredness and care for others, and you see how kind they are, and then you do Tonga, you might, from one moment you were miserable, self-centered, depressed. Next moment, a minute later, having gone through this thought, and you genuinely care for others, you do Tonga, suddenly you're happy, peaceful. Great, straight there. Very interesting. So then it says, then meditate on the great kindness of all being, then alternate giving and taking. For taking, begin with yourself. So with taking, begin yourself. So what it means, you start by taking on your own problem. No? So you start by taking on the pain you will have tomorrow, the problems you face tomorrow. Then you start taking upon yourself the pain you're gonna face when you grow old, the pain that you face when you're dying, pain when you're sick, the pain of losing your partner, the pain of losing your wealth. So you take upon yourself that the pain you will have to face anyway. So you accept them. So you start by taking your own pain, the pain of having mental affliction, the pain of not having realization of bodhicitta, the pain of not having realized emptiness. So you willingly take your own pain up yourself. And then once you're able to do that for you, then you do with the most cherished person you have in your life, the closest person. You do that with that person. Then gradually you expand. And then giving, start giving. So you start giving small things. You imagine giving a cup of tea, giving a cookie. Things that you can give, that you can honestly give. Something that makes sense to you. Giving a smile, giving a compliment. So you start that with the person closest to you in your life. Okay? Imagine taking the problem of that person away. Then you imagine, giving a smile, giving a cup of tea, helping with the house chore, you know, you help that person genuinely, mind. Then gradually you take deeper problems and you give them bigger happiness. So Tonglen, you see, this is a meditation, but then it should change your behavior, you know, towards, you know, starts with a meditation, but then you become kinder in your everyday life with the people that are around you. You know, it changes your outlook, it changes your behavior. So these people around you have been your mother, your father, children, wife, have been so kind to you. Do you naturally wish to repay kindness? They're so precious. Do you naturally want to make them happy? And often it's a very small thing, you know, just being kind and helpful. So it's a state of mind. And the person that benefits most of it is yourself. It's not the other person, but the person you help. The person you help might be happy about it or might not. But it doesn't matter. The person that benefits the most is yourself. To be in that state of mind of wanting to be helpful, wanting to care, alleviate their suffering and bring them happiness in whatever small way one can. So this, for me, it was really a revelation when in the Lamrim Chenmo, Lama Tsongkhapa says that you have to start with people close to you when you do Tonglen. You don't go straight all sentient being. You go all sentient beings, it might not work. And he says as a sign that you see, you meditate on all sentient beings and then somebody bothers you and you get upset. You know? So he says it's a sign that it hasn't worked. So first, also, I think another mistake we make is we put it straight onto the breath, and the breath goes too quick. Unless we are a whale that breathes very slowly, it inhales very long, you know. But for us, inhale lasts, you know, maybe 10 seconds. So you cannot do the whole meditation in 10 seconds and then switch to the other meditation, you know. So it's difficult to switch between love and compassion in 10 seconds. So you have actually to focus on the inhale for a while and you forget about the exhale. And then you focus on the exhale but not on the inhale. Not like that. So first you focus on taking away, you know, people's problems, you know, and then you just focus on the inhale, and then for a while you focus on the exhale, giving, 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 giving. You know? Because if you switch inhale, exhale, in, you know, it goes too fast. I found that very helpful. On the basis of three objects, the three poison arise. Transform them into three sources of virtue. The three objects, pleasure, pain, and neutral sensation. The three poisons, attachment, aversion, and indifference. Three sources of virtue. Use your own three poison to free others from theirs. see when you have pleasure, when you have a good time, then instead of being attached to it, you share it with others. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche often says, when he goes in supermarket, he said, like I enjoy this, may all sentient beings enjoy this. When he has a good meal, like I enjoy this good meal, may all sentient beings enjoy this good meal. Whatever good thing you enjoy, he offers it. He in his mindset, may all beings have the same pleasure, same happiness. Offer it. Instead of this, then is the antidote to the attachment. And then whatever pain or problem one has, may I take up on myself, like I have back pain, like I have headache. By my experiencing this back pain or headache, may I free all living beings of their back pain and headache. I lost my job, I have the pain of losing my job. I take the loss of job from all sentient beings of job. I suffer from anger. I take all other people's anger upon myself. May they be free of anger. I suffer from this attachment. I take the suffering of attachment of all beings upon myself. May nobody experience attachment. I have cancer. By myself experiencing cancer, may I take all other people's cancer upon myself. May I free all beings from cancer. I'm dying. By myself suffering the experience of death. May I take all the death of other people. May nobody has to. I experience it on their behalf. So like that, you see, any problem you face, you turn it into a huge virtue. Use positive karma. So whatever pain you face, whatever problem, you transform it like that. In daily life, use reminder. For example, may all beings suffering ripen upon me. May all my virtue ripen upon them. So in daily life, so for example, Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave the example of blues. How he tries to transform it. So he says he has a toilet in Kopan, new toilet they built for him. And when the window is open, he sees the stupa of Buddha from his toilet. So he said, while he sits on the toilet, he sees the stupa. He said, may all living beings reach enlightenment. Because the stupas symbolize enlightenment, Dhammakaya. So each time he sits down, he sees the stupa. He said, may all living beings reach enlightenment. So like that, try to transform everything into thought like that. So he has this kind of booklet, when you sit down, may all beings sit down on the seat of enlightenment like Bodhgaya. You stand up, may all sentient beings reach out of cyclic existence. You cultivate this thought to remind yourself of Boddhicitta. So there's two ways of doing it. One way is a bore, is when you don't really mean it, you just do it mechanically. You just cultivate the thought without having first seen the disadvantage of self-centeredness, the advantage of without going to developing great compassion by remembering the kindness of others and doing tongue. Without doing that, you just say mechanically, may you go out of that, oh, may all living beings go out of. But it's just superficial thought. You don't really mean it. Which you are not from that state. You don't do it from the state of mind where you really believe it, you really mean it. It's just thought you repeat. Then you just put a superficial imprint, but it's not their actual thing. So same thing, we take refuge, we just blah blah blah, recite 3 times the formula. It's not really taking refuge. So it's very important to go from the superficial mechanical way of doing things to actually mean what we are doing. I think if you, they say, you know, if we were to become a bodhisattva in this life, this would be such an amazing achievement. If we genuinely realize that this life, then it's guaranteed we're never going to lower rebirth, and from lifetime to lifetime, you know, our mind will become better until we enlighten. The key is really bodhicitta seems to be really, because then, how to say, they say, you know, offering one cup of tea to your teacher or to your altar with bodhicitta or without bodhicitta, it's like night and day. You know, you offer a cup of tea to the Buddha or to the teacher without bodhicitta, you just create the merit of having offered one cup of tea. You do it with bodhicitta, it's multiplied by the number of living beings. It's as if you had offered a cup of tea to all living beings, to all Buddhas. So it's just, you do one prostration with bodhicitta is having like done billions of prostration. If you do it without bodhicitta, it's just having done one prostration. It's just your spiritual path change league. You know, you certainly be in a different league because you do it with bodhicitta or without. The outer action is the same, but it's the mind. You know, it's completely different dimension. You enter in a different dimension because it's multiplied by the number of living beings. And also what it does to your mind. See, often our scope of mind is me, my environment, and the people, you know, that are in my psychological world. And then through reading the news and things like that, we become aware a little bit of our country and then maybe of the planet with global warming and the premium happening. But that's how far it goes. But with bodhicitta, your scope of mind becomes infinitely vast. You know, in your mind, you care for all living beings. You know, the hell, animal, preta, deva, all wherever there's a living being, you care about him and her, and he's very dear to your heart. So it's like, you know, your mind expands in space. Your mind embraces all living beings in your love, in your care. So your mind becomes very vast. And it's such a nice state of mind to be in. And then, you know, when you lose it and you back to you, my care of me, my family, my friend, it feels so narrow, so limited, you know, so suffocating. Then you want to go back to that expansive state of mind. So this morning we create some positive energy by reflecting on emptiness with the Heart Sutra, and we created some positive energy thinking about love, compassion, Chitta. So in order for it not to be destroyed by a moment of anger, we offer it to other living beings. So may this energy, positive energy, become the cause for us to realize bodhicitta, become bodhisattva, and to travel the Bodhisattva path and become Buddha for the sake of all living beings. We can also direct it towards, if we have friends, family members, people which have problems, where this energy contribute to their healing. And may it pacify all the mental affliction in the mind of all beings of this planet, all beings, especially our political leader, Putin, Xiaoping, and Trump, all others which have big power. May the mental affliction decrease, and may the love, kindness, care for other beings increase. Due to the power of our merit, power of our Chitta, power of our emptiness, power of our spiritual aspiration to reach. Okay, 1.5 hour break.
We go outside again?
Shall we? I don't know.